CGB! You know, buddy, I heard that you guys have some dragons coming to your game on the horizon. Is that true?
It's true. We have dragons. We're bringing out dragons. Do you know anything about dragons? Does your game have dragons? Do you like dragons? Are dragons fun?
This might shock you. Yes, we do, in fact, have our dragons. And not to be a biased Yu-Gi-Oh player or anything, I think our dragons are just a little bit cooler than your guys's. Because today, I am going to be showing you, similar to the video we did with Tier Element, you are going to learn all about the Dragon Rulers. This was one of the most horrific decks for its time. It was released back in 2013, 2014, I want to say, out of Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. And as always, I'm going to show you a bunch of cards, and you have to tell me if you think they were so powerful that these cards ultimately had to be banned. You ready?
So you're telling me your dragons are cooler than Magic's dragons?
I would say so. I don't know. I mean, we have the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You have, what, the Shivan Dragon? I think a lot of people prefer Blue Eyes if I had to take a guess. But, you know, that's just my opinion. The comments can fight about it. Anyway, here's your first card.
Blaster. What a name. Dragon Ruler of Infernos. That's kind of metal.
It is. It rocks.
Sorry, I have to read it again. Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos.
That's exactly what he sounds like. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah, I did the voice. Fun fact. In my other career, that's not actually true, anyone. Let's see. This is 7? Am I counting 7?
7 is correct. I will make it easy for you. The next 3 I'm going to show you are all going to be 7, so you don't have to count.
That's nice. Fire, attack 2800, defense 1800. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can banish a total of 2 fire and or dragon monsters from your hand and or graveyard, except this card. Special summon this card. During your opponent's end phase, if you control this special summoned card, it's funny, return it to the hand. You can discard this card and 1 fire monster to your graveyard, then target 1 card on the field, destroy that target. If this card is banished, you can add 1 fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use 1 blaster dragon ruler of Infernos effect per turn, and only once that turn. What the hell is all this? All right, first of all,
let me help break it down for you.
Yeah. Let's go.
So Blaster and the other 3, we call these the Daddy Dragon Rulers. That'll become apparent shortly when you see the rest of these. All of them have 3 effects, and they're basically all the same, except for one of them. So the first effect is the ability to special summon them, which if it's in your hand or graveyard, you banish a total of 2 fire and or dragon monsters from either your hand or graveyard to special summon this out to the field. Make sense?
Okay. This has to be in your hand or graveyard.
Correct.
And then 2 things in hand or graveyard.
Get exiled. And then
or a combination of the 2?
Yes, it could be fire. It could be 2 fires. It could be a fire and a dragon. It could be 2 fire dragons. It could be just 2 dragons. As long as it's...
And 1 can be in the hand and the 1
Correct.
Can be in the graveyard?
You can exile 1 from the grave and 1 from hand if you want to.
Okay. Sure.
Then they all have the text that says, if you control this special summon card, return it to the hand during your opponent's end phase. That's something they all share. Then the second effect is something that is unique for each Dragon Ruler. So Blaster specifically says you can discard this card and a fire to the graveyard, then target a card on the field and destroy it. So it's built-in removal. And then the third effect is also unique across all the Dragon Rulers, but it's only for its particular attribute. So Blaster says if this card is banished, you can add any fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. So for the other ones, there'll be different elements, so it pertains to their particular element. The last line of text, I don't know if I've shown you a card that has this text before. It says you can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. So even though they have 3 different effects on them, you're only allowed to use 1 of these 3 effects during the turn that you use any of them, if that makes sense. So if you're like using it to act as removal, you can't use it to banish it to add a fire dragon from your deck to your hand, for instance, and vice versa.
Okay.
Got all that?
Okay. Maybe. We're getting.
Walk me through your thoughts.
Do I have to? Okay.
That is the point of the video. Yes.
This okay. This is the part where he finds out my brain is just a hamster on a wheel.
Fantastic. We're only 5 minutes in.
There's nothing going on in there.
This is going to be
Animal Crossing in my brain already. All right. Let's see. You can discard this card and one fire monster to the graveyard, then target one card on the field to destroy that. Is this attached to the returning it to your hand, or is this its own ability that you can use at any time?
So that would be while it's in the hand. So you can't do it while it's from the field. Discard this card means it specifically has to come from the hand.
But it's not tied to the... Okay, returning it to the hand is not a cost. It's just what the card does.
That is an effect, yes. So during, let's say you summon Blaster on your turn. At the end of my turn, if Blaster's still on the field, it would bounce back to your hand.
It doesn't say like quick effect or anything. It just... So let's talk about the line. You can discard this card and one fire monster to the graveyard. Target one thing, destroy that target. When can you do that?
That's a sorcery speed effect.
What is the timing? Okay, on your turn, if this is in your hand, you can discard it and one other fire thing and destroy something. All right. If this card is banished, you can add a fire monster from your hand to your deck. So if you have Blast, you can add one fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Yeah, okay. That's my bad. All right. If it's banished from anywhere, from your hand, from the graveyard, from the field?
Correct.
So if you have a card that like banishes things from the graveyard as part of the cost, this just tutors you another thing.
Interesting. It's almost as if there's part of the first effect that banishes things from the hand or graveyard. Weird.
Yeah, well, you've also just shown me a lot of cards that do this.
That's also true. Constantly. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
This is just Yu-Gi-Oh 101 is how do we turn Delve into everything?
Now you know why I picked a particular commander in an episode of something that may or may not be coming out by the time this video goes up.
Yeah. Isn't this just stupid? So I am already just in that classic Yu-Gi-Oh mind fuckery.
Okay.
Is this stupid broken, or is this what you do all the time? That's like a great question. You do when you
great question.
So this already feels absolutely dumb. Just discard this another fire thing, blow up something on the field, then banish this from your graveyard to pay the cost of something else and tutor something. It's like you aren't down a card and you didn't pay for anything. You just moved stuff from one zone to the other to get something from another zone.
Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh.
You're freaking... Yeah, you're just micromanaging your little side of the field. You're playing manipulator of stuff. We're gonna put this over here and this over here and this over here, and at the end of the day, good things happen. Like, is this card games? Feels like it's Yu-Gi-Oh specifically.
I told you our dragons are cool. You didn't believe me.
I don't think this is cool. I think this is stupid. It's just value for nothing. How is this evocative of a dragon? A dragon shows up and is the biggest, baddest, scariest being in its realm. This gets chucked in the trash, but says, here, have more stuff. That's like some little gardening peasant card is what I think of when I think of this stuff. Some kind of a bug, some kind of an insect. That doesn't feel like a dragon. It feels like they wanted this to get played so badly. They're like, please, for the love of God, play our cool dragons so you buy these cards. That they had to staple things onto it that just kept the chain going no matter how you use it. So if you never cast this, it was still useful. I don't like that. I don't think that's cool. I think that's lazy. Lazy, Simo.
So was it banned?
Hi. I hope so. Is it banned? I've got to actually think about how good this is. When did this come out?
So this was 2013/2014. So I know you're like
tier element brain. Early.
This is, well, it's like mid Yu-Gi-Oh. I will say this probably predates your conception of Yu-Gi-Oh 2, but I think this design was definitely a step towards Yu-Gi-Oh leaning into being like the card game that lets you do anything and everything at any given time. So, a lot of people felt that the design of these cards sort of opened the floodgates, if you will, for Yu-Gi-Oh to start doing like ridiculously crazy stuff. Not that it already didn't have that, but this is a lot of a text and effects on a card. And you start to see more and more of that like after this era, I will say.
Yeah, imagine if every card in your hand could destroy something, tutor something else, or do something as itself.
Really
as
interesting you say
creature.
that, CGP. We're going to have a very fun video.
So that's the big part. This being the first one you've shown me, I already get the vibe just from the way you're talking that I'm going to see a lot more crap like this, which means it's really hard for me to say ban this.
Okay, how about
when
this
I know
then?
there's a lot more coming.
How about I show you
like-
all the remaining daddy dragon rulers, and maybe then you can come to your evaluation. I think that's fair. I think looking at more of these will help you out here. So with that said, let's show you your second
What
one.
have I done? What have I done? All right. Gonna break my voice today. Tempest, Dragon Ruler of Storms. Also level 7, Wind. 2400 attack, defense 2200. You can discard this card and one other wind monster to the graveyard. I know where this is going. Add one
This is
dragon
gonna save
monster
you
from
from
your
reading.
deck to your hand.
I'm just saying, I'm helping you.
I still have to read it because the second I miss anything, Simo's in there with it's like Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park. Something you may have missed. And I'm like, yep, you're right. You can banish a total of 2 wind and or dragon monsters from your hand and or graveyard to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Okay? During
said
your
it.
opponent's...
You said it.
I did. During your opponent's end phase, if you control this special summoned card, return it to the hand. If this card is banished, you can add 1 wind dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Yep, you can only use it 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. So
to help you out
it's
here,
got all that text.
All the effects are the same, except it's wind instead of fire. And the biggest difference here is that Tempest, instead of popping a card, you discard it and another wind monster to add any dragon monster from your deck to your hand. So Blaster is removal and Tempest is more searching.
And you can tutor removal. That's great.
Isn't that great? That's awesome. How perceptive of you. Okay,
How about that?
let's show you daddy number 3.
I'm not doing the voice anymore. I quit. Redox, Dragon Ruler of Boulders. This dragon made out of rocks. It's so stupid. It looks like an armadillo. Attack is 1600. Defense is, yes, 3000. Of course. If this card is words. So where's the different part? You can discard this and 1 earth monster to the graveyard, then target 1 monster in your graveyard to special summon the target. You can discard this card and 1 earth monster. Okay, it has to be an earth monster, not like a dragon. It seems a little narrower.
Well, they all discard their respective element to use that like second effect they each have. Yes. So
It's weird. Some are like because right at the top it says you can banish earth and or dragon.
So
but
that's
here
for their
it's only
summoning.
Earth.
It's always like that for the
Yeah,
summoning,
okay.
and then for their special
Okay.
ability, if you will, Blaster has to discard a fire for you to pop something. Tempest has to discard a wind and itself for you to search. And in this case, Redox, you have to discard an earth in order to reanimate something.
And they all have this: when banished, go get something of the right element from
Correct.
your deck to hand.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Like I said, I'm saving you here because there's a lot of
You're
redundancy.
saving me. You're such a good guy. This is Tidal, Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls. I was just looking at the waterfall and a dragon jumped out. Holy shit, what went wrong? Attack 2600, defense 2000. And the different part of this card is you can discard this card and 1 water monster to send 1 monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can discard this and 1 water monster to search library for any monster, and that goes into the graveyard.
Weird. It's almost as if you can revive these from the graveyard.
They wouldn't. That would be too powerful. There's no way.
So you've now seen the 4 dragon rulers. What do you think? Is one banned? Are they all banned? Are they all fine? What do you think?
Oh no. I hate like the free banish like bonus on them. I hate it so much.
Oh, you're gonna love when we get to some later cards then.
Oh no. Let's see. Target 1 and special summon it. So this is the reanimator right here. Redox is the reanimator.
Yep.
Redox is the reanimator. Tidal is the tutor.
Tidal's the
planned
this. The sender.
The entomber. Yeah.
Tempest is the tutor, like TT, easy to remember. And then Blaster's the removal.
If you control this special summon card, return it. This card is banished. Add 1. I'm reading Tempest again. Where is
Tempest is at the top. I don't know why they changed like the ordering on Tempest specifically. Yeah, but Tempest's wording's at the top.
This costs you 2.
They all cost 2.
Basically, you get this. You get this thing. Yeah, this card from the hand or graveyard. So it's kind of on its own. Like if this were all by itself, you'd be like, it's kind of a recursive win con that comes back over and over. But you have to invest a lot of cards in it. And if you're bringing it back from your deck or graveyard, then you never get the banish part. But if it banishes, you just go get another one. So like on its own, it's like this never ending win con. But at least it kind of exists in a vacuum. Whereas the other ones seem like they just tie together so much.
Well, you can play 3 of each of these, remember?
Yep, you can play all of them. And since it says dragon, you can like discard 2 dragons to do another dragon thing. And then if you banish them in some other way, tutor for 2 more dragons. Oh my God. Dude, the fire one's your removal. The Redox just gets you back whatever you want, and the Tidal puts whatever you want in the graveyard, and then the Tempest you can just keep using as materials over and over if you have nothing else going on until it's banished, in which case you can get another Tempest or another thing that does this thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, what are you eating? Oh my God, I might have to watch a game of this. It just looks so stupid. See if I can follow what's happening.
I will let you know, people consider this to be one of the most skilled formats in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you play the mirror match with this.
Imagine. That makes sense, because when I try to come up with the lines, it's almost like you have to plan 4 steps ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is playing this. Yep.
And once you've practiced it a few times, I'm sure it gets easier, but it certainly seems like when you start your first tutoring, when you discard your very first 2 dragons, you have to have an idea of where the end is, and it's probably 4 shuffles away.
We'll see about that when we get through the rest of the cards in this video.
God, I can barely keep track of what I'm doing in 1 shuffle.
This is the most reading you have to do this whole video.
Honestly, thinking about did these ever get banned? They are their own system that seems to feed off of each other, like very specifically. And I'm sure that other dragons exist, but this does seem like a very narrow set of action. And I'm trying to think like, and this is something that's still hard to gauge. Did they solve it by restricting it? If these are restricted, is it better? It might be. That might be a serious nerf to the deck. I want them banned. I hate them. I don't know why. It is like offensive to me that there's this much value tied into every little bit of them, even when you're just discarding them for scrap.
Oh, just wait,
because when I think of dragons, okay, yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna love more of this. I'm gonna say I want them banned, but I'm gonna say restricted might have fixed it. So I'm gonna go with not banned.
I'm going to put a pin in that, and I'm going to show you more cards. And I'm going to note that you think they're limited, and we're going to come back at the end, and maybe you might change your mind as we go through. And we're going to evaluate all of them at the end to see whether or not you were correct, because I don't want to spoil everything right off the get-go. And I think as you see more cards, you might change your mind for better or for worse. So I'm going to try something a little bit different this video. I'm going to try something a little bit different. Next up, I told you just saw the daddies. Now we're going to show you the babies. We have baby dragons.
Aww. Burner, dragon ruler of sparks. That's so cute. The attack is 1,000. The defense is 200. You can discard this card and 1 dragon type or fire monster to special summon Blaster, dragon ruler of infernos from your deck. Okay, so you have 3 more blasters in your deck if you need them.
And you have 3 more Tempests and 3 more Redoxes and 3 more Titles. Isn't that convenient? How convenient.
Heaven forbid we ever not have the card we want. Oh my God, it cannot attack this turn. Great. You can only use the effect of Burner, Dragon Ruler of Sparks once per turn. Good, cool. It has to be 1 other dragon type. So or fire. It has to be one other fire. Seems very doable. Jesus.
Really?
Like so far,
Interesting.
So far it looks like you could have most of your deck be dragons and then just a couple of the elements and tie it all together is already what it looks like.
Yep.
Alrighty. All right, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Let's put a tutor on everything. That's cool.
Yeah, welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't have to read the other ones unless you want. They are the exact same text except for their respective element. So lightning, you pitch a dragon or wind, and itself reactant is earth, and then stream is water. But they all get their respective daddy dragon, as we like to call them.
They are very cute. They are very cute. But why do they get to go get daddy? Does it like daddy creates them? That's how it's supposed to work,
That's how it's
right?
supposed to work.
I don't know.
So do you think these got banned?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, now it's starting to look like the whole point of the set was to be as redundant as freakingly possible. And if that's what they wanted, like, man, was it just head and shoulders above everything? It seems really good compared to other things I've seen, you know, pre-2000. Pre-year 2000, it seems like this is really good and really everything all the time, which reminds me of Tier Elements. It does.
I was about to say, this is like almost a decade before Tier Element, if you can believe that. So I know Tier Element has skewed your perception of Yu-Gi-Oh! But let's just say there's been other decks that have been just as, I wouldn't say just as crazy, but up there.
I mean, this looks really crazy compared to other Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards from that time period that you showed me.
For sure.
Like, this looks like this came out and they were like, this is a whole new game. This is one of those sets that
a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people felt that way.
Now that you see that they're baking in this redundancy, this is so dangerous. This is so dangerous. What are you going to do? If you restrict everything and the consistency drops big time, it's more likely that you're just going to ruin the whole deck, which is more likely that you're just going to ruin the whole set.
We are in eternal format, though. Gotta keep that in mind.
I know, and they can unban it later, but I don't know. This seems really dangerous because first you ruin everybody's collections by printing stuff that's overpowered, so they have to adapt, and then you ban the overpowered stuff, and then like everybody who spent money on that is upset. It's dangerous.
Yep, that sounds about right.
There have been a few points in Magic that went through this, and it was very dangerous for the game. It was bad for the health of the game. Now so if the question is, did these get banned? Now it looks like the answer wasn't to restrict the other dragons. The answer is you ban the other dragons, and these are shadow banned.
Okay.
Like if you ban Daddy Dragon, the babies are basically dead.
You're not wrong. I would agree. So you're
you don't
switching
have to ban them.
So you're switching your position to they ban the daddies and the babies are unlimited because if the daddies are banned. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping the gun here.
Let's talk. What if they ban the babies?
Okay.
And restrict the daddies? That's the more complicated solution. But you get to play the bigger, shinier cards.
You do.
I swear if you restrict everything, that seems so needless.
And they could go through multiple ban lists, right? Like they could try to they could. Maybe one ban list, they try to rein in the power a bit, but they're still playable. And then maybe another ban list or two later, then they take out I'm again, eternal format. That's kind of, the way things happen. Remember Tier Element, right? I told you it went through like several ban waves before it finally was unplayable. It's kind of still playable, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they could also pull out the middle finger and say, "Deal with it, guys. This is Yu-Gi-Oh now." My position at the moment.
I got you good with this one. I knew this was going to be fun.
I hate this. This is tough. Like, they were clearly committed to this deck. They were committed to this as a huge part of the set. Banning it is very, they don't want to do it. The people who designed it don't want to do it. It would take a lot. So I can feel the resistance in the human nature already. But now it's looking more like they banned the daddy dragons to me. Because that's the cleanest solution if they're too powerful and they take over the format. That's the cleanest solution. Then you don't have to worry about the babies. They shadow ban them.
Well, let's show you some more cards, and we'll see what you, if that is still your position by the end of this video. We're going to take a break from monsters. Here's a spell card.
Sacred Sword of 7 stars. Banish one level 7 monster from your hand or face up field and draw 2 cards. You can only activate one of this per turn. Well, Well,
You're like, hello there.
they built even more of the set around this, apparently, because now it's like, I don't know how many level 7 monsters are just lurking around as build around parts of a deck that you have enough of to run this. But clearly now, if you restrict or ban those dragons, this card becomes a lot worse. But this card is really good. This card is really good.
I would agree.
I mean, off the field, after it's come in and kind of done an effect, draw 2 more cards, keep going, amazing. But from the hand, never pay the cost in the first place, and banish the dragon, giving you a tutor and 2 cards. That is busted as hell. That's a demonic tutor / ancestral recall. In Magic, that is insane. That is insane. This card was banned.
Okay.
This card had, unless they actually got rid of the daddy dragons, which is a kind of a shadow ban on this.
Yeah, it's another shadow ban.
It depends.
Yep.
So I have to ask.
Okay.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but is that text? It sounds like it. I just need confirmation. Is that text about banishing these elder dragons and then getting a tutor when you banish it? Is that unique in Yu-Gi-Oh? There aren't like 10 other ways to like get a similar effect from a level 7 monster outside of those dragons, is there?
I will say, what's the best way to answer this? So I told you how Yu-Gi-Oh has draw power, but it's like very specific or has like major downsides. We've done a few videos talking about that, right? I wouldn't say it's like rare that there's other draw spells that like do something. Maybe it doesn't banish a level 7 monster. Here's a classic example I'll show you. And I probably will never be able to show you this in any other context, so it's fine. Here's a card called Trade-In. Trade-In is just a card that says discard a level 8 monster, draw 2 cards. So it's similar to Sacred Sword, but it's different and just kind of does the same thing in a different way. And so obviously you put it together that Sacred Sword banishing a daddy then also pluses you because you get the search. Trade in whatever you might discard might get some value in the graveyard because you're putting it in there, right? So I'm trying to like answer without like giving you everything. There are just like plenty of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that do this. Was this like one of the most brazen, obvious ones? Probably. Especially considering I think it's from the exact same set, if not like the set prior. I forget which. So to answer your question, this is not like uncommon, but it depends on the type of deck that you're playing.
What about the dragon text that if you banish the dragon, you search for another thing? Is the if this is banished, search for another thing common for the sword's ability? Like, can they proc it off other things that are not those dragons easily?
So it was from the same set for context. I wanted to clarify that. And typically this is like the only thing you're using. Remember, you have 12 of these if they're unlimited, right? So you have plenty of fodder.
It's very meant to play with those dragons.
Yes. And you're not really banishing this for anything else.
Thank you. All right. This card is stupid. This deck is stupid. Ban it all for all I care. But right now it does seem like the clean solution is to ban the daddies. That is the clean solution still at this point. But this is one of the dumbest things I think I've ever. The fact that this was in one set is like the Tearlaments thing was like peeling the onion. This is already a disgustingly rotten onion, and I bet you have more layers, and it's already bad.
Let's rot the onion even further, shall we? Let's rot the onion even further. Give this card a read.
Oh my. Gold Sarcophagus. Banish 1 card from your deck. I hate it already. Face up. I'm telling you, that's the line of text that is messed up. Is the banish this, get something for free. I knew it the second I read the first dragon. I'm like, that is gross. That is stupid. That should not happen. Okay. Banish 1 card from your deck face up during your second standby phase after this card's activation.
So upkeep.
Add that card to your hand. So on your turn, you put this out, you banish a dragon, you tutor for any other thingy dragon that you need, and on the next turn,
following turn, goes 2 full turns. The following
turn.
Yeah.
2 full turns. So yeah, because, oh wait, this is something I learned from my React video comments. Turns in Yu-Gi-Oh aren't even counted by like my turn, my turn, my turn. They're counted my turn, your turn, my turn.
Correct.
So like if I go first, my second turn, unquote, is actually turn 3.
Correct. The way
Yes.
we count them, yeah, it depends. Like, some people might say my turn 2 versus going by, like, actual turn 3. But in terms of, like, if you're following, like, legality protocol, that is correct. Yes.
So this is, if I play this on turn 1, on turn 3, I get the card.
5. Turn 5.
Turn 5. See?
Because
Thank you.
it would be your turn 3, but, like, by the game sense, turn 5. Yeah, so you play this, banish whatever. Your opponent plays your turn. That's your first turn. Your opponent plays your second turn after you activated this. You get the card to your hand.
Those are some nasty incentives, because at first it was like, okay, you banish these dragons, you combo off, you pop off, you kill opponent. It's still kind of coming together as to how to kill opponent. This says the person who has more gold sarcophagus early wants to stall, because then they just win the long game on value. But it's not like it's a real cost right now, because they just banished the freaking dragon that gets them another thing anyway. So it's just a free card in the future. What are we doing here? Like, what the hell are we doing here?
We're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, buddy. We're playing some Yu-Gi-Oh.
This is in Magic, like, we have suspend cards, you know? Like, you pay a cost now, and in 2 turns you get an overpowered effect. It's waiting the 2 turns. That is the cost, really. On top of, like, the 1 mana or a couple mana you spent. This is, hey, get a really sweet effect now and get something later just because you did this.
I will give you some context here. Gold Sarcophagus was actually a prize card back in 2008, I want to say. Then they reprinted it several times later on. So this is an older card. In your defense, I will say this is maybe one of the first times there was this, like, easy way to just get advantage by banishing a card straight out of your deck. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it is actually, like, very common for Gold Sarcophagus to have, like, that immediate value instead of waiting the 2 turns. But in older Yu-Gi-Oh, people would play Gold Sarcophagus, and waiting 2 turns would be fine to get, like, the best card in your deck. The Dragon Rulers, though, obviously made it so that you don't even have to wait. You just get the card immediately. So just to give you a little bit of help there.
Yeah, I bet they had that combo going on turn 1 then. Like, this was delayed gratification until it became instant and delayed gratification. Ah, that's nice. That's great. Yeah, it's great. It's a solid card that became busted overnight because they came up with some new way to, like, get paid for nothing. Great. Awesome. Still ban the dragons, I guess.
I mean, if they ban the dragons, like, it's not good, right? In theory. Okay.
It's fine in theory, right? But it's not busted. It's busted if you banish something that also gets you something else.
How about this card?
Dragon Ravine is a spell card. It says, once per turn during your main phase, you can discard 1 card to activate 1 of these effects. And discard 1 card. Okay. Add 1 level 4 or lower Dragunity monster from your deck to your hand. Send 1 dragon type monster from your deck to the graveyard.
So a couple points here while you mauled. First of all, this is a field spell. I don't know if I've shown you many of these. The field spell, they act as, like, enchantments. They stay out until something, like, removes them or they remove themselves. This one just stays. There's, like, a dedicated zone for a field spell, so it kind of just goes there, and it stays. So you could do this every single turn, hypothetically. The first effect, where it says add a level 4 lower Dragunity, is not super relevant. I'll show you this card. This is Dragunity Corseska. You don't have to read it. The only part that matters here is that it's a tuner, which means you can make level 8 synchro monsters with your Dragon Rulers. And I might be showing you something you can make later on with that. So sometimes you would want to search for Corseska. It's also a wind dragon, so hypothetically you can pitch it for any of the other rulers. Tempest can search it because it's a dragon. But primarily, Dragon Ravine's second effect that says send 1 dragon-type monster from your deck to the graveyard, you can probably figure out what you're really trying to do with this card.
I mean, you're just tutoring up graveyard material to use on the dragons you want to cast. You're just turning any, let's see, it's discard 1 card, any card. Okay. Yeah, it's just turning 1 card in your hand into the dragon piece that you need. Yeah, it's just redundancy. That's great. Yep, solid. Why would you have to put anything in your deck that would make you do something different from the dragon thing you want to do?
Isn't Yu-Gi-Oh
great? That would be silly. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm still banning those dragons.
Okay.
By the way.
All right. So everything else is still fine.
Yeah.
It's just the dragons are going that solves the problem. Correct? That's
right now.
Okay.
The answer is yes.
Sure. Okay. Here's your next card.
I think I've seen this one before. Yes, I have seen this one before. Card destruction. I remember you. I know you. I love the meta of here are Yu-Gi-Oh cards on a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I love when they do that. That's one of my favorite things in artwork is when they actually have Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the artwork. Even if it's like just the background, like the card in the bottom left corner. I just think that's great.
Oh yeah. And this says both players discard as many cards as possible from their hands, then each player draws the same number of cards they discarded. This card's really good. I remember that. I had a whole thing about like Windfall and some of the quote wheels in Magic and filling the graveyard and things like that. And I remember this card was even better than I thought in our conversation. And I'm trying to think of it in terms of this deck. I mean, this deck really wants, we've already seen the redundancy. There's multiple tutors. And this is like, again, if you get no mulligans in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's what I remember. So if you have an opening hand that somehow with all these things doesn't do the thing already, you can use this to fill your graveyard. The odds are pretty damn good you're going to draw into something that sets you in motion on your dragon tutor plan, and you'll have some pieces in the graveyard to pay for it. That's what I see.
Okay.
That's what I think. I don't see, I guess, okay, well, I take it back. I was going to see, how do you like get this to the level up? Oh yeah, that freaking Sacred Sword of 7 stars. That's how you do it. Yep, you just banish one of them 7-drop dragons and you're up. You go from like this, you go up like 2 or 3 cards or something, and then you play this and you're getting so many more cards. I haven't quite seen, if you go first, how you leverage into a full-on win. But this is definitely one of those decks where it feels like you have access to the whole thing.
Do you want to see how you leverage into a full-on win? I've actually shown you some of these cards before, as a matter of fact. Let's go ahead and show you one.
Oh boy. Yes, the plane. The plane's on a plane.
Now you can put it together.
Oh, this thing.
Now you can put it together.
Oh, God. Oh, the Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosac.
Is it all coming back? Is it all coming back?
XZ effect. Oh, it's 2 level 7 monsters. Oh, shit.
Why don't you give it a refresher read for?
I forgot about that. Okay. Oh my God.
I told you I was going to show you where this came into being. And here you go.
God.
Also released in the same set, by the way.
Oh God, no. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card to special summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. While you control a token, this cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Once per turn, you contribute 1 Mecha Phantom Beast monster, then target 1 card on the field to destroy it. That card can't attack during the turn you activate this effect. So this is what you do. You play the dragon like shuffle game. You just manipulate dragons in and out of zones until you have your Mecha Beast Phantom and the Mecha Beastie token things to defend it. So you can pop whatever you need to on the opponent's side of the board. Whatever they do that messing, you can pop it. And you probably have some other dragons hanging out just because. Like you have an unassailable board state. If you went first, you're probably going to disrupt whatever they try to do with the Mecha Beast Phantom Beast guy here with the Dracosac.
Well, if you want to disrupt the Dracosac, let's see if you remember this card as well.
Oh God. Number 11, the big eye. Oh, Jesus. You know what's really sad? I need to go back, watch every single freaking video you've made with me, and I need to make a spreadsheet of what got banned and when, so that I can mastermind these videos.
That'll also ruin when I do the video.
It's gonna ruin. You wouldn't like that.
It's gonna ruin when I do the video to see if you remember which of these older cards are banned, which we're kind of doing here in a way as well. But give Big Eye a read.
Yeah, I will in a second. I'm just gonna say behind the scenes, I've already tasked an assistant on going and watching every video that you've made with me on Magic, so I remember which Magic cards I've shown you. Anyway, number 11, the Big Eye. 2 level 7 monsters. Yep. Oh my God. It's all coming back together.
All coming together.
Oh my God.
All coming together.
Was this in the same set?
This was actually before, as a matter of fact. So this card was already legal, but it was
out waiting for this to happen.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Once per turn, you can detach 1 material and then target 1 monster your opponent controls and take control of it. Yes. All right. So you use dragons. You farm your own dragons. You create your dragon farm. This is why I say your dragons are not cool. I'm telling you straight up, your dragons are not cool. They're just materials. They're lands.
Ooh, those
That's
are
what
fighting words.
They
I don't know
are
about
your
that.
lands. It's pathetic. They are your basic fucking lands. Nobody cares about them. They're worth nothing. You're using them to farm materials. You're like monster hunting your own dragons, farming them for materials to get a freaking oversized ring with a needle in it and like something straight out of Evangelion, and you're getting some backwards NASA space shuttle on a Boeing. Like, that's what you're doing with your dragons. You're turning it into these, and then your opponent can't do anything without getting wrecked by it. It's a great deck. It's a terrible approach to dragons. Dragons are supposed to be cool. These are not cool. These are messed up materials. That's all they are. They are lands. I'm being honest right now. I want to go pull up the video so badly, but I have no idea. I can't remember what got banned.
So you're still in the camp that they just banned the daddies and that solved the entire problem. Because it seems like, in your mind, that's centralizing this, everything goes back to the dragons at the end of the day.
It does. And I know they don't want to. Like, nobody who designed this, I mean, they knew it was good. And maybe they did have the mentality of, we'll just ban it someday. But they built so much around this. Like, you can tell the fact that they're level 7, the fact that they have tutors for tutors, the fact that they can all like work off each other. Like, these are meant to be like this. Somebody wanted this, and they don't want to just ban it. They want these in the format somehow. But I'm still looking at it like, that solves the problem. They are the linchpin of all of this. They are the connecting material that puts all of these things together. If this deck was just that much more powerful than everything that came before, and it became the whole meta, and they didn't have a way to like curb it, and they wanted to make it take a chill pill for a minute, banning them would do the job, I think. Now, I remember when we made this video, you just told me to assume that the materials were easy to access.
Now you know why I said that.
I believe I do. There's probably other ways to get these on the field, but this is just clearly some of the most busted materials they've ever put in the game for paying costs like XZ's effects. Like, this is sick. This is to make sure those things got played. So yeah, I'm sticking with it. They're still the linchpin. They're still the thing that makes all this disgusting.
I only have a few more cards to show you. Since we're on the topic of extra deck monsters, I will show you a new one. This is actually what you could use that Corseska for. Give this card a read. Crimson
Blader?
Blader.
So yeah, I gotta take a bathroom break. Can you tell? This is a level 8, 2800 attack, 2600 defense warrior synchro. Needs a tuner. Yeah. That's the other card you showed me, was the tuner you can search for.
Correct.
And then one or more non-tuners. Okay. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, your opponent cannot normal summon or special summon level 5 or higher monsters during their next turn. Oh god. It has crazy stats.
It does. It is bigger than everything I've shown you except Blaster, which it ties with.
So it is not easy for an opponent's monster to destroy it. Or no, this is if it destroys an opponent's monster. So it can destroy just about anything. Oh, nice.
Pretty killer in the mirror match, huh?
The problem with it in the mirror match is it's just going to get stolen or destroyed by the freaking eye in the airplane.
I mean, if you hit with Crimson Blader, they can't make a big eye to retaliate because they can't special summon. So
it is your one chance, right? If they pop on turn 1 but don't completely assemble what they need, or if they don't save their removal for this, like if you can somehow get this on the field after they've used their once per turns, or you dealt with them in some way before they got to use their once per turns.
Sure.
And then you drop this and hit something. Yeah, you have a chance.
Or let me give you another hypothetical, right? So looking back at the Draco Sack, let's say all they do is summon the Draco Sack, summon the 2 tokens, and that's the end of their turn. So they have 3 monsters on the field. There's a world where you could special out some dragons, make a Crimson Blader. Let's just say you have Crimson Blader and 2 dragons, right? Your dragons can kill the tokens. Now the Draco Sack is susceptible to being destroyed by battle because there's no tokens on the field. Crimson Blader can attack over the Draco Sack, then triggering it and locking the opponent out of really being able to fight back on the following turn. That's just a very rudimentary example, but just it is doable. Because remember, you can't attack on the first turn, and even if you could, they wouldn't have any monsters on the field. You
have to navigate those freaking little things, so you have to still be able to remove those or eat their abilities. The Mecha Phantom Beasts, you got to get through those. But yeah. So I can see it. Yeah, this is definitely like your chance. I mean, it says you can't special summon. It says, that's kind of that's the game, right? That's what we do here.
Correct.
And then not only that, it's like, if they don't get rid of this, the next turn you kill something else of theirs. Like they get it. It's that horde spot, right, where they can't put anything on the field because if they can't get rid of the Blader, because they'll just get locked out again.
Correct. And there are counters to the Blader. I'm not showing you in this video, but like if you remember hand traps, right? There's a couple hand traps that are legal during this time. One of them is Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler says discard this card, negate the effects of a monster for the turn. So if they go for that Crimson Blader line, you could discard Effect Veiler to stop them from locking you out on the next turn.
Oh, yeah. You can stack your hand and have the right answer all the time. Or you could not play the game if you didn't draw it and have a great story to tell your friends after the round. I mean, that is kind of a fundamentally like busted and very toxic card where, oh, well, I guess I didn't draw the out, so I lose. That's nice.
Or you just have to play around it.
You
just have to play around it.
Play around it. Yeah, just play nothing. Just don't play a monster. Just leave no monsters on the field ever.
There are formats where that has been. Do you remember the Necros that I showed you? I think it was in our last video, the ritual monsters. With Shure, your most hated card of all time because it just makes everything free. The defensible opening move playing that deck is to do a bunch of plays that ultimately end you on an empty board. But you built up your graveyard and your hand might be at 6 cards. That was a defensible and actually the optimal line playing the mirror match with that deck, was to leave yourself on nothing.
I think that makes sense for a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, where the graveyard is a big resource and cards are free. I think in Magic, the idea of just having to be on an empty board to play the game would be toxic. Because, yeah, summoning sickness, because you invest into the board, because the whole thing is often about untapping with a card that is powerful to start snowballing the game. Like in Magic, this would be unacceptable.
And to be
absolutely unacceptable.
To be fair, in the Necros deck, they have the Valkyrus, which you can pitch it and another card to end the battle phase, so you were in no danger of dying in that instance. So typically, as part of the opening line, you would make sure that card's in your hand, or you bluff it, either way. And like I said, you would draw some cards, you would set up your graveyard, and you would just pass. And that was, like I said, like almost like one of the optimal openings for that deck, which is insane because that's like rarely ever happened in Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, that's just so. I mean, it's not impossible to conceive of like if you're trying to play around a Crimson Blader that you do stuff in such a way that you don't lose to this card. But there are ways to interact with it, so it's not complete. It is oppressive. I'm not going to say it's not. But there are ways to respond to it and also to play around it as well. Let's go ahead and continue the fun because we're not done. We have 2 left, and I think I've saved the best for last for you, buddy.
Super Rejuvenation. This is a spell. During the end phase of the turn, this card was activated. Draw a number of cards equal to the combined number of dragon monsters you discarded or tributed from your hand or field this turn.
You like drawing cards. This might be one of arguably the best draw spells in Yu-Gi-Oh, courtesy of this deck. So,
I mean, it kind of says draw your deck and win next turn.
Well, you would have to discard down to hand size after resolving this. So
what's your hand size
6.
again?
6 is our hand
6.
size. Yep.
That sucks.
But
all right.
Do you really care if the stuff goes to the graveyard?
Yeah, you have endless graveyard resource and you have 6 cards of choice in hand. Yeah, that seems really good. That seems correct. Really good. That almost seems like a race to this card when this deck is doing its thing. Like if both players are playing the deck, the person who drew this card is probably gonna win. Why? Why did this deck need this too?
I will help you out a bit.
Why?
I will help you out a bit with this card. This is a very old card. This got initially printed in 2003, I want to say. This is like from the 5th or 6th set because that set had a dragon theme as one. There was like 3 different tribes in that set, and one of them was dragons. So this is, in defense of this card, it is very old. But they also kind of knew what they were doing, right?
I mean, yeah. It does seem like this is easily a draw 3 or 4 with this deck doing okay things.
On the
this
small
deck
end,
doing
sure.
like, yeah, this deck doing a chunk of its plan is probably drawing 2 or 3 cards. This deck in full blown pop off mode is probably like draw 10.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, just pitch a couple babies and you're already at 4, right? Because the babies have to pitch a dragon too, so you literally are already at 4
I'm picturing
cards.
a mediocre opening hand with like this one baby and I don't know some of your other cards that it's so redundant it probably doesn't matter. Man, you combine this with the where is it? Card destruction.
You're piecing it together.
Yeah, this card is also stupid.
But if the daddies are banned, does it solve everything? That seems to be your current philosophy.
Now I have to look at these a little harder. And I have to look at the babies a little harder. No, these still fetch exactly the daddies the babies do. So yeah, they're still kind of shadow banned if the daddies are banned. So you would need a different approach to dragons in general to get the effect to go. And if this card was around for a very long time before, then you can guess that the dragons that were there before were probably good, but not nearly as broken. So I'm sticking with it. If you had showed me Crimson Blader in a vacuum, I might have just said that card got banned on its own. But like looking at this, it's almost the good guy.
You can't, because remember, Crimson Blader's generic. Like any deck can play Crimson Blader. I'm just showing you like the easiest way to get to him.
Yeah. But like right now, with the bullshit you're showing me, Crimson Blader looks like the hero we deserve. You know, this is what we need to actually combat this stuff. So,
what would you say if exiling all those dragons was for a greater purpose, CGB?
What the hell is this? Return from the different dimension is a trap card, and it says pay half your life points. Special summon as many of your remove from play monsters as possible. During the end phase, remove all that were... Yep, okay. Yeah, it's fine. So this is a trap card. Does this mean it can be activated on your opponent's turn?
Correct.
I mean, this might not even be the important part of the card, but let's just say for the sake of curiosity... Do those if you go to that end step, do you remove them from play or do you return some of those dragons to your hand?
I am double checking here.
Probably not the important part. Got it. I'm just like, man, then it's not even a downside.
During your opponent's end phase, if you control this special summon card, return it to the hand. I think you... During the end phase, remove from play all monsters. Both of these are end phase mandatory triggers, which means, to me, you should be able to stack them in such a way that you can do that. It's been a while, so if it doesn't work like that, I'm sorry, and the comments can correct me, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that based off the way I'm reading this. But some of these cards also got reworded over time, too. So it's possible that wasn't allowed, but the way I see this, go ahead and assume that you can do that. And I'll take the roasting in the comments if I'm incorrect.
That's the way it would work in Magic. I'm also just guessing that's not even the important part. That's just the cherry on top.
Yeah,
this is already busted.
Yeah, basically. Like, you can do that. That's fine. But I think typically return's more of an offensive card than a defensive card. You never really want to be casting a defensive return from the different dimension.
You start your turn. You discard a dragon you don't want. And you use one of the babies and you get one of your pieces. Exile, you banish that to use one of those cards that draws 2 cards. And then, so that's banished. So then you tutor up another one, just another dragon that you can banish. That's all it is. And then you banish that to the freaking, where's the gold sarcophagus, right? And so now you got 2 things banished and you use that banish to go get another dragon that you can then banish later. And then you card destruction and you discard those and you draw some new cards and you put that card in the graveyard and then you banish it from the graveyard probably somehow. To pay like another effect, and then you tutor something else, and then somewhere near the end you set this thing, or do you just play it right away? I guess it depends what turn you're on. No, you play Super Rejuvenation and you set the trap card, and then you draw a whole bunch of cards and you discard some of them, and then you trigger the trap thing and you bring them all out, and I hate this. Okay. And it all ends with big eyes and Draco Sex just firing at will.
I will say with return, in the instance of, let's say the stuff were to get re-banished, say it doesn't go back to your hand, it'll trigger their effects to search because they're getting banished.
Yeah. Okay.
So if anything, if you bring back
Christ,
if you bring back 4 dragon, or let's say 2, you can just immediately go +2 off of that for half your life days.
Oh my God, it never stops.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
There was a card like this in Magic that I might show you someday, but the idea was you could do it as the big end game finale that overpowered the opponent, but you could also just do it for value. You could just do it to like get 2 more banishes in your case that just drew you a couple, like 3 or 4 more cards that gave you the gas for the next one. Yeah, that turned out to be busted. That turned out to be stupid.
But you guys have costs.
Absolutely.
We can do all this immediately.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. There's a lot of things about Yu-Gi-Oh that I do like. There really are. But the just kind of endlessly spinning wheels playing combo-y solitaire thing, I'm just like, it's so much. Why? Does it never get boring? Does it never get exhausting? I don't know.
It really just depends. I mean, it's whatever your flavor of tea is, right? I mean, the thing is, like, as crazy as all of this looks, for a mirror match perspective, everything's like balanced, right? Because you all have the same, crazy cards at your disposal. And there might be a few swingier cards in here of the bunch, but yeah, like it also depends on as we go in and out of formats. Like I've shown you probably historically in all the videos we've done, a lot of the more like combo centric crazy stuff. But you saw when I showed you Masterpiece, like we do have our like ultimate control tools that are like very stunny, very stacksy. So we do have that too. And depending on the way that the formats have shaped up, sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh can be like a very slow, almost like Magic pace style of game where there are a lot of turns, actual turns, not like our like, million interactions in a single turn type thing. It really just depends on the way that the cards are designed and the way that the formats shape up. I'd say as we get into Yu-Gi-Oh 2, it's gotten much more leaned into the combo side of things. But that's obviously for a different story.
So these are all the cards?
That is everything. So what are your final determinations? And I will give you my big long spiel at the end instead of breaking it up throughout the video.
Man, I feel so stupid. You're probably even going to play a clip of me reacting to like finding out Mecha Phantom or number 11, the big eye was banned or something. But I'm like looking at these trying to be like, were these banned or not? Oh my God. I honestly believe like the Daddy Dragons, just that it would have been fine. It could have been fine, but there's that line of text about banish these to tutor, and now it's not fine. It's not fine. Okay. It's not okay. I don't think it's okay. And you know what? Other ways to use banish as a way of paying a quote unquote cost in Yu-Gi-Oh, like that's going to keep happening, I think. So these just become endlessly always materials. Always. Like you could run them in all kinds of decks throughout like the next decade plus, always just getting to do endless value from using them for banish abilities, right? So in that way, I think that they had to be banned at some point. It just feels stupid if they're not. Sacred Sword of 7 stars might not have needed to be banned as a result of these dragons, but I bet it got banned someday. I bet it was banned someday. Because eventually there's enough level 7 monsters interacting in some way to make this card good. And maybe, I mean, obviously it's insanely busted with specifically the dragons. But that doesn't mean it's not just busted as a draw to in the future using the right cards. And on top of that, you have the return from a different dimension. And if this is around with the 7 stars, right? Like, eventually that's busted anyway.
Okay.
So either like 7 stars or Return from a Different Dimension probably also spent time restricted or banned at some point, just because of what they do to the cost effect of the game. I still think Crimson Blader in a vacuum is toxic, but God, I can't even imagine banning it now, as it's one of the only things that you can do in the going second to try to like escape the madness. And Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosec just feels so obnoxious to me. And if it wasn't, it had to be restricted at some point, I think, to just maintain, like, this was probably the painful, annoying endgame for a long time. And it probably reemerged here and there throughout the history. I bet it got restricted at least. And card destruction, that might have been banned at some point. Like just knowing what I know about Yu-Gi-Oh now compared to like the last time I saw it, I feel like you told me it was banned, but now I really feel like it should have been at least restricted or banned. So I'm going to say it was banned at some point. And just looking at this deck up and down, like there are so many stupid cards here. This is one of the more layered stupid card decks possible. So yeah, those are my takes on these cards.
What about Super Rejuve? You missed that one.
So I was looking at Super Rejuve, and it's kind of like, obviously this is a potential problem, but it does specifically require dragons. And dragons will probably always be a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! They were a part of the very first episode of the anime. I remember that. They were the big bad, right? So there's always going to be like dragons coming in and out of the format. So when dragons go too far, Super Rejuvenation probably needs a ban, at least for a little while. And this would be one of those cases. I could see that maybe they tried to keep their dragon daddies and dragon babies around and thought that Super Rejuvenation, just giving that a break would solve it, but I don't think it did. I didn't need to see this card to see that this was busted. So this being an old card that was probably having a big time moment in the sun, that is so Card Game Company 101 to be like, ban the old card to see if we can keep the new cards for a little longer, that I bet they did. I bet that was part of the process, was banning Super Rejuvenation. But I don't think this card in this case was the real problem.
Okay.
And it might have emerged a few more times as a problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! History with more dragons, and I could see it getting banned again. So I'm sure it was banned at some point, and I'm sure it was banned for the sins of these new cards for a little while.
All right, buckle up. I got a lot of yapping to do. So
I bet they did it. No, hold on. That is what I think would happen, but I bet you're going to tell me they didn't ban these dragons at all. All right, I'm ready for the story.
Okay. So when the Dragon Rulers were released, every card you are seeing here, except for a select few, were available at 3 copies. I think maybe the exception to that was Return from the Different Dimension. I believe that might have been limited during this time, and possibly Card Destruction being limited as well. Everything else, though, from what I recall, was at 3 copies. So basically, I've almost shown you the entire deck. There's like a few things that are like not really that important that I didn't show you, just like other more just random generic stuff. But the Dragon Rulers on release were basically the best thing you could be doing, and it was not close. It was one of those instances where, like, if you were not playing this deck, you were trying to play to beat it. There was a foil in this time called Spellbook. Spellbook was the only deck that was able to keep up with Dragon Ruler, and that is because they had a very specific set of cards that would either just prevent the opponent from special summoning at all, and then they could protect that monster, which meant that not even the baby Dragon Rulers could just like attack into it to kill it. You either had to play Dragon Ruler or play like Stun to beat Dragon Ruler during this time, essentially. So powerful. So powerful. I think if there was a top 10 decks of all time, this would probably be in the top 10. I don't think it would crack the top 5, but if we were doing this video about 10-ish years ago, this would probably be number 1 on the list. This was by far and away one of the most egregious examples of power creep that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ever seen. And this actually turned a lot of people off from the game because these cards were just incredibly powerful. Funny enough, they weren't that high rarity. All of the Daddy Dragon Rulers actually came in at rare, which is our second lowest rarity at this time. All the babies were common, as a matter of fact. And the things that were very expensive and price prohibitive for a lot of people were actually the extra deck cards. Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, I think, was like a $200 to $250 card per copy because you kind of needed a payoff to go into. And I think Big Eyes were, I don't think they cracked 100. I think they may have been like $80 or $90, but in any case, you were probably playing 2 to 3 Draco Sacks and 1 to 2 Big Eyes. Sometimes you could just get away with just one. So that was like where the deck was really expensive, which is funny because the actual like main deck cards themselves were actually pretty affordable, all things considered. But one of the cool things that we haven't discussed is that you don't have to play the Dragon Rulers in the Dragon Ruler deck. Because they're what we call generic, they don't like lock you into playing dragons or anything specific like that. Any deck that is comprised of all fire monsters, let's say, could play copies of Blaster in it as like another card that's like really powerful for them to play. Because while the value might not be there compared to playing it in a Dragon Ruler deck, you still have access to this big guy that can special summon himself out to the field because you're playing all fire monsters. It's still removal in the hand, so you can pitch it in a fire monster to pop something. Tidal, similarly, saw play in a lot of water decks because water decks wanted to dump stuff to the graveyard, and also being level 7 was very relevant for their deck as well. So, Redox is similarly saw play in other Earth decks because it has a Monster Reborn attached to it, which I believe was banned during this time. So the fact it was like built into a monster was very cool if you were playing an Earth deck. So not only did people play the Dragon Rulers as a standalone deck, but other attribute-specific strategies could take advantage of these cards as well. Which was something that, again, even if you couldn't afford to play the big bad Dragon Ruler deck, you could still play these cards in some capacity. And not long prior to this, Fire and Water were two of the best decks in the game. And so, obviously, with the release of these cards, that just only benefited those strategies. Let's go through some cards, shall we? Let us start off with the babies themselves. I think we need to take you to the September 2013 ban list. This is infamous throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history as the Crucifixion list, where they had more changes on this ban list than I want to say any other ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. There was like 30 or 40 changes on this list, which was insane because this deck was so powerful, something had to be done about it. On there, to start off with, were all of the baby dragons, if you can believe that. They banned Burner, Lightning, Reactin, and Stream. So all of the babies took the hit in this first wave of bans. Furthermore...
they tried to protect their daddies.
Furthermore...
Oh my god, no.
Card Destruction got banned. Super Rejuvenation got banned, and Return from the Different Dimension also got banned in the process. I also believe they limited Gold Sarcophagus to a singular copy. It was either at 3 or 2, I forget. But they basically hit everything that was not the Daddy Dragons themselves, which is incredible. Because...
And Sacred Sword.
Sacred Sword is still legal at 3 copies at this time.
Oh my god.
So at this point, you have 3 of each Daddy. You have Sacred Sword at 3. You have a singular Gold Sark. Dragon Ravine is still at 3. The Draco Sack and the Big Eye and the Crimson Blader are all still at 3. And everything else is banned. One thing with Super Rejuvenation you might have missed is that it is a instant speed spell, or a quick play spell as we call it. So... if you go at the end of your turn, Super Rejuve, draw 6 cards. If you draw another Super Rejuve, guess what? You can activate it in the end phase because it's a quick play spell and draw another 6 cards. And if you draw the third Super Rejuve, you can activate that and draw another 6 cards. You have 20 cards in hand. You pitch half your hand to the graveyard. Next turn, you have full setup because everything just banishes to resurrect itself. Super Rejuve was obnoxious. That card needed to go 100%. If there was like one of the most swingy cards in all of this format, Super Rejuvenation was one of them. If someone resolved it, typically, more often than not, they won. So a lot of people were happy to see that card go. Now, question, CGB. Do you think that was enough to stop the Dragon Rulers and their dominance during this time?
No.
Correct!
But I'm really curious, how did the Yu-Gi-Oh players feel about this huge ban announcement?
They were incredibly frustrated about this because people were sick of this deck existing, and even with all of the hits, it was not as dominant as it was at full power. But it was still basically the best thing you could be doing because these effects are just so powerful and so far above the power curve for the time. yes, there maybe were some other contenders that could try to go toe-to-toe, but more often than not, the Dragon Rulers just do everything, and so it didn't even matter with all those consistency hits. They were still incredible, which is where cards like Dragon Ravine and such actually entered the fold, because initially, Dragon Ruler decks didn't even need to play Ravine because they were so consistent. But after the hits came along, they're like, huh, this is just a way to get more dragons into the graveyard. We get access to the Crimson Blader through Corseska. There's another tuner you can search that I didn't show you as well. That's fire attribute, so Blaster could search it. But people figured out Dragon Ravine was a thing. So then later on the next ban list, they ended up banning Dragon Ravine as well because they had to find a way to keep hitting these cards in some capacity.
Oh my God,
but the daddies,
just such simps for the daddies.
The daddies
oh my God.
still survived. The daddies still survived. And so then finally, April, okay, remember, the Crucifixion list of September 2013. April 2015, not 14, April 2015, a list was released. And the Daddy Dragon Rulers finally got limited. I'm just kidding. They got banned. No. But okay, on a list prior to that, in early 2014, not long after the Crucifixion list, I believe it was the next one, they did in fact limit all of the Daddy Dragon Rulers to a singular copy. Still very strong and powerful. However, with only having a singular copy of each, the deck was not playable in the slightest. However, I think they made this choice to allow the other non-light and dark decks take advantage of a singular copy of these cards to be able to have like some splashability. Like I said with the fire decks and the water decks previously. So they did still see play, even being limited just because they had incidental synergy with these other archetypes. But finally, in 2015, we saw our Dragon Rulers ride off into the sun because they finally got banned. And that is the history of the Dragon Ruler strategy. Draco Sack, Big Eye, and Crimson Blader never got touched. They were fine. I mean, honestly, you know, Konami's MO trying to make money. Those were the money cards of the set because they were at secret rare. I kind of get it. You know, you want to try to have the chase card in the set still be legal to be played. And Sacred Sword has never been banned. It's been totally fine.
Okay. I thought that would get the as long as the daddies were like legal at a full rarity, I didn't think that card could stay. But apparently they're fine with Pot of Greed plus a tutor. I don't know.
Which is something that people always joked about. They're like, okay, Pot of Greed's banned, but we get to play Pot of Greed with upside. That doesn't sound right.
None of this sounds right. This all sounds like they were just. I hate it when I'm right. They were absolutely trying so hard not to ban these, but they were always broken.
As much as people hated them, they were very popular. Just because people like dragons, they were just a lot of historically, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, the decks were always like light and dark focused. So like the fact that we had decks around this time that were non-light dark focused and gave some love to the other attributes, I think some people really like that as well. Just phenomenally powerful cards. But they had a very long-lasting legacy on the game itself. What do you think?
I can't believe what they are willing to go through to protect these cards. I stand by it. They're not cool. They're just materials. They're just farmed materials. I stand by that.
But the story's not done, CGB. Look who's coming into the game very shortly at the time of recording this video.
This is like an announced card that hasn't come out yet?
They are they will be in Japan first, obviously, hence why they're in Japanese. But
yeah, I was gonna say I can't read them.
You don't have to, because you can put it together. It's the baby Dark Dragon Ruler and the baby Light Dragon Ruler. They do the thing they always do. Once you think they're gone, they're gonna reel you back in with the Dragon Rulers.
Oh no. Oh no.
So slowly but surely, over time, they started to unban the Dragon Rulers. They started by unbanning the worst one first, which was arguably Tempest. And then one after another, they slowly started to give us the rulers back. And this was the grand plan all along, because now we have 2 more Dragon Rulers entering the fray. And They're pretty fucking good. That's all I'm gonna say.
They learn nothing.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all their continued support. So shouts to Shout1317, Tim00x3, MBT Play Medolce, Moto, Cameron L. Smith, The Synchro Guy, Pony Stark, Dan the Man Hoban, Little Fade Leaf, Draconic, Brian Dancer of Class 7, Dylan Rare Hunter, JW11860, Flannel Daddy, literally all of the guinea pigs, Cheeks McLapperty, Stolfin Amethyst, MBT canceled by community soon, canceled by all committees soon, canceled by all players soon, Wonder Waffle, MBT and Nimnims 1, Boxer Brief, Fueled Night of Passion, Daniel Howell, Electrician of the Ice Barrier, Arco, and the Nova 129. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will see you next time.